Yeah, well, thanks all for coming today to hear the Legacy Minerals story. We're a New South Wales-based exploration company, and yeah, we're hunting gold and copper projects. So we're not a miner. We're at that early stage in the exploration mining life cycle, and we really see some fantastic opportunities in our portfolio to really deliver value for shareholders. That's one of our recent projects that we picked up. A good example of a copper system up there. That's in the New England region. You can just sort of see the copper in some of the historic workings up there. This presentation is up on the ASX, so please feel free to run through that disclaimer. So in terms of our asset overview, we've actually got 7 projects now, Kerry, with the addition of the Drake one. So we're continually looking for projects and looking for ways that we can add value for shareholders. So that includes divesting projects. We divested one recently, which was a rare earth nickel project. We've brought the Drake project into the portfolio, and we've got a real core focus on these epithermal systems. We see some tremendous value that we think we can unlock from them. We've got a great partner in Newmont, which we signed on with one of our projects earlier this year. So those 3 projects, I'll run through them today and what they sort of mean for shareholders and that sort of upside. We've got a great pipeline of projects as well in the portfolio, so they again, provide significant news flow and a real depth of high quality projects. New South Wales is a fantastic jurisdiction. For those that don't know it, it's home to Australia's biggest gold mine, Ku Ridgeway, at 50 million ounces total endowment. You've got Cow, 15 million ounces. Really helped Evolution's success story, the growth of that deposit. So we know it's a well mineralised district, and it's a world-class terrain to explore in. Just briefly on the company overview, I'll highlight our market cap at 12 mil. We see that as a fantastic opportunity, presents significant upside just when you start to look at the sheer scale of the projects. We've got joint venture funding through Newmont and Earth AI up to 20 million, which will get spent over the next several years. And importantly, management is aligned with shareholder interests. So all the management team are shareholders. We buy stock. We're heavily invested in the company, so it's not just a clipping the ticket, taking the salary. We're keen to see this company succeed, and we're keen to see that share price growth. Virtually all the boards here at the conference as well. So we've got David, Matt, and myself and Tom in the booth next door. So sort of what sets Legacy apart from a lot of exploration companies is we take this discovery vision of a hybrid approach. So what that means is that we've got 5 projects that we own 100%, unencumbered, no royalties. That gives our shareholders direct upside to the discovery success on them. We also then partner up. So we've got 2 tier 1 partners in their respective fields, Newmont being the world's biggest gold miner. They've done a significant amount of due diligence on us and as a company and our project. So if you want to follow where the big guys are putting their money, Newmont are investing in Legacy. We've got Earth AI, an artificial intelligence company. So what those do is they de-risk our projects. So we can share that exploration risk, we can source those funding, and it allows us to run multiple projects at once. So if you're an exploration company, the more projects that you can progress, the more opportunities for discoveries and that shareholder uplift. I'll run through some of the details around the Newmont joint venture shortly. This is the project, one of our key 3 flagship projects at Ballura. So Ballura is located in central New South Wales, and it's about 80 kilometres south of the Cow mine. So we're targeting a tier 1 epithermal deposit with Newmont here. We want a big system. Newmont know what they're looking for in these types of projects. They operate Sierra Negro in South America, which they're expecting to ramp up to 500,000 ounces per annum this year. So that Newmont have mined these, they've made plenty of discoveries. So they certainly were extremely encouraged by the work that we had done on the project in terms of unlocking that prospectivity. That joint venture, at the end of it, we'll end up with 20%, and that'll be carried through to production under a financing agreement with Newmont. So we see that as a fantastic deal because it means that Legacy shareholders would get 20% of ownership of what would hopefully be a tier 1 deposit. And I'll run through a bit of a case study with another project on just how much value we see that joint venture giving. In terms of the project, it's a huge area. We're talking alteration across 150 square k's, massive low sulphidation vein field at 30 square kilometres. So it's one of New South Wales' biggest epithermal systems. Importantly, we're seeing high grades of gold and silver at surface. So that changes, I guess, the economics of these types of projects is that our drill targets start from 0 metres. We're looking at the outcropping gold-bearing veins from surface. We're really excited about this result that we put out yesterday to the market. We've done, part of the aggressive exploration program that we've got underway with Newmont is some really big, large-scale geophysical programs. So it's the sort of stuff that as a junior, you'd only dream to be spending money and getting the high-quality data sets that we're getting out of the project now. That big red blob, every MD loves to drill a big red blob, and that's as big as you can probably get for these types of systems. So we're looking at a 500 by 500 metre resistive body that comes 300 metres from surface. And you can just see there's 3 drill holes that were historically put in about 30 years ago. Didn't test below 50 metres. But what we know from that drilling and from the work that we've done is that this is a gold-bearing system when we're seeing high grades of gold at the surface, in rock chips up to 32 grams, close to 300 grams silver. That's going to be drill tested next month. So we're extremely excited to be getting into and cracking this target. Those drill holes are sort of odd 600 metres or so. And what we're expecting to see there, I'll run through the geological model, but at surface in these types of systems, you don't expect to see high grades of gold and silver. That comes together at depth in these boiling zones where the bonanza golds accumulate. So the fact that we're getting this leakage or this gold anomaly at surface, and that's represented in the soils, is extremely encouraging for the fertility of this system. So stacking that up with, this is the textbook model, the image on the left. And that's what it looks like overlaid on our geophysical target. So you couldn't have asked for a better response in terms of what we were seeing there. And that AMT target zone, that boiling zone, that's where, again, you expect to see the bonanza levels of gold and silver. And they form during the process of when these epithermal systems are formed and deposited. So sort of stepping back from that imminent sort of discovery exposure, that Breccia Cinta prospect sits down in the bottom right of that image there. You step back and you look at the size of the vein field and how many targets there. We're going to be very, very busy with Newmont over the next couple of years, drilling out multiple different targets across what is quite a large project area. We know there's some endowment. We've drilled some quite shallow holes recently and delivered some pretty good results. 6 metres, 8 grams gold equivalent from 50 metres, and about half of that is gold. So I sort of touched on why we think this hybrid discovery approach and this joint venture partnership can really deliver value for shareholders, and a great example is Greatland Gold. If you look at the JV that they signed with Newcrest back in 2019, this is a 3-year share price graph for Greatland. By the end of the 3 years, after an aggressive period of exploration with Newcrest, they had a resource and a $1.7 billion market cap. So again, we're sitting at a $12 million market cap at the moment. And I'll point out the differences between the joint venture agreements. Up front, Newcrest gave them a lot more money compared to us. But at the back end, Greatland Gold sort of hit a bit of an orphan period now, and they're having to borrow money. So they've racked up around $300 million in debt and debt facilities to progress that project. If we get to that point, we're borrowing from Newmont. We don't have to repay that until the mine's in production. So it's a fundamentally different joint venture in terms of the value. So we're not servicing a loan. There's less risk involved for us, and we're guaranteed that 20% operating revenue. So why we were looking at Ballura and realising, hey, this thing's big. We're chatting to the BDM teams from some of the big gold miners. We started to look around New South Wales and thought there had to be at least another one of these systems out there. And we picked up Black Range. So Black Range sits 65 k's to the east, near Yass. So again, central New South Wales, great access, really easy to explore in these types of regions. We went out there and we pegged the entire district, so 900 square kilometres of volcanics. To showcase the scale of that system, it's 3 times the size of the project that we've got with Newmont. So it's a huge system. Large zones of alteration, so there's been historic work that was done on it. So we're seeing, again, significant anomalism across the project. Importantly for us, when we look at opportunities, we look at what's been done and hasn't been done. We're the first company that's been on the ground there in 30 years since Newcrest walked away in 1992, and they walked away when they found Cadia Ridgeway, the 50 million ounce behemoth in New South Wales. So we know that it's underexplored. We know that we've got the expertise that we've done it at Ballura, and we're learning with Newmont there. So we're excited about that potential. Again, these low cost opportunities to deliver value across the project. Importantly, to sort of demonstrate the relationship between the Ballura and Black Range project. Before Newcrest walked away, they dated the Sugarbag Hill prospect at Black Range, and the CSIRO said, yep, the closest known mineralisation is the Ballura project. So we know we've got two big epithermal systems, both formed at the same time. We own this one 100%, and we're going to be aggressively exploring this now, and we'll be putting out news flow imminently on some of that groundwork. That's the view and some of the Sugarbag Hill prospect there. So we're the first company to be there, as I said, in 30 years since Newcrest last drilled it. Drake, I'll talk briefly about Drake. We were watching this project that was previously owned by Mount Carrington, and what we've picked up is a legacy project, with a new copper vision. What we saw up at Drake, it is a low sulfidation epithermal, and like Ballura, low sulfidation epithermal, but a very strong polymetallic element. So it's not just gold and silver, we're seeing copper. We picked this up, the exploration license, for $200,000. There's been $20 to $30 million of expenditure on this project. So it completely encompasses a resource which is around 600,000 ounces gold equivalent. So it's a significantly endowed region. What we really like about it is it's been targeted as a mining project for many years, and we see incredible exploration upside. So if you're trying to focus on getting a mining operation up, whether that be with silver and gold at various stages, you'll start to ignore, I guess, the blue sky potential that exists in this big caldera system. So when we started to look at this project, and we're looking at drill hits, 18 metres at 6% copper and 10 metres at 7% copper in the same drill hole, they're phenomenal. Like, they're phenomenal drill hits, never followed up. So never followed up by the previous exploration company. We see a Lihir-sized system here when you're talking a caldera that's roughly 15 square kilometres large, that's got a huge copper chalcocite blanket, and you're getting copper hits like that from 50 metres. You're talking about, again, a very, very fertile system, and we're looking at that porphyry copper potential. So something, you have to have something that's quite large to be driving, just mineralisation that exists across, just several kilometres. Those are the targets from some of the historical ELs. So we're working through the data room here, and then we'll be putting out some announcements around what we plan on that project. But again, we're looking at the blue sky opportunities we see in that porphyry copper story. I'll briefly just touch on Earth AI, because often people ask a lot of questions about that relationship. What Earth AI, we've got them joint ventured onto our Fontenoy project. We liked Fontenoy because it's for its copper gold. They liked Fontenoy because of the nickel copper sulfide discovery that they've just made. So they're an artificial intelligence company. They use machine learning to generate targets. Importantly, unlike a lot of other, AI companies out there, they generate their targets and then they drill their own targets with their drill rigs. So again, we don't pay for anything. There's very little risk to us or our shareholders. So it's fantastic to get, we're moving into drill planning with these guys over the next couple of weeks. So it's fantastic to see, again, another discovery, potential discovery exposure. And that nickel copper PGE system, that's a new type of mineralisation in the New South Wales belt. So we're quite excited about where this project leads. That's the exploration pipeline. So we're expecting it to be a pretty busy rest of the year. I'll sort of highlight we're planning drill campaigns at Fontenoy and the Breccia Centre at Ballura. Again, both funded under our joint venture projects. And in the meantime, we're working through our Black Range projects as well. And so the goal of that exploration programs is really to generate those drill targets and move towards testing those. So again, following the same pattern of success that we saw at Ballura, we're unpacking Black Range in the same systematic manner. So to wrap it up, I've saved a minute off the time there, but so why legacy minerals? And more importantly, why now? So we're talking that immediate discovery exposure. We're about to drill, a high conviction drill target that's been processed by, Newmont's geophysicists with us and their geochemists. You couldn't have asked for a better exploration target. So that'll be drilled next month, and the results will be coming out, after that. We're in a tier 1 jurisdiction. We've got a tier 1 partner, and again, we're targeting tier 1 epithermal discoveries. Coupled with that, active exploration across 100% of our own projects means consistent high impact news flow for the rest of the portfolio. Ticker's LGM. We're next door. We've got some rocks, so please feel free to come and have a chat to the team.